Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of Day 4 with the man Frank SCALISH. Took a week off last week, but we are back in action and live on a Thursday morning, June 25th, 2026. What's going on, Frank?
We're back, man.
Back from the Mississippi River. Holiday weekend's coming up. I'm actually leaving today, headed to Orange County, California for the weekend, doing some stuff with the wife's family, and then we got 4th of July festivities, and then it is all out summer.
Perfect. That is perfect.
Are you still hosing them? Last time we talked 2 weeks ago, you were high on life, Frank.
It was, to say the least, it was very spectacular, and for once I felt like I was actually in a state that actually had phenomenal fishing in it.
A state. I thought you were talking about a mental state. You're actually in a physical state.
Physical state, as in part of the USA.
Big difference.
Yeah, big difference. Yeah, it was fabulous. And then we had a big storm come in last week, 80-mile-an-hour winds. I lost trees, had a big giant branch, big round 20-some foot tall branch, poke a hole in my roof.
Oh, did you hear it come down?
Oh, dude, it was.
Where were you when the branching occurred?
Right here in my office.
And what did that sound like?
Well, I looked out the window and the trees were not blowing like this. You know how they go whoosh, and they lean over? They were whipping all.
That's not good.
Yeah, all different directions. And I was actually scheduling a locker room. And I was talking to this guy and I go, I think we're having a tornado right now. He goes, do you got to go? And I said, well, I'm not going to be able to stop it. So let's just get this thing scheduled and then I'll go. And then all of a sudden, dude, just loudness. And my wife comes running upstairs and she goes, there's a big branch on your truck. And I'm like, what? And so I go, yeah, probably I got to go. And so then I look and the branch is laying next to my truck and it fell on the roof, hit the gutter, which I just had new gutters put on, tore part of the gutter down, bounced off the second floor roof onto my truck, dented my truck, and then
noticeably dented it.
It's on the
insurance.
It's on the roof of the truck, so I'm not.
Only the semi truck drivers can see it.
Yeah, so I'm not even going to bother with that because I had too much other damage. So the big sycamore trees, I got sycamores in my yard that are like 150 years old. They're gigantic, and one of them came down. And when it broke like 25 feet off the ground, and it broke and split in half, and half of the tree went in one neighbor's yard and demolished his fence, his outdoor furniture. The other half fell into a huge oak tree and got stuck on the oak. And I had limbs down and broken limbs, just hanging on all the. So anyway, I got the tree guy out here, and they dispatched that big sycamore, and I wound up getting the ladder and my saw out and cutting all the other branches that were broken. And
now you've got a sign out front that says firewood, $5 with a coffee can next to it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm waiting for the roof guy to finish his estimate because I got, it looks like it broke one of the beams on the roof. It looks like it broke it. There's a punch hole in the third floor bedroom.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I gotta see. I don't know what's going on yet, dude. I have no idea. But then, so this happened Sunday night. So Monday I cut all the branches and did all the stuff. And then Tuesday I went out and cracked on them again, hardcore. And I was like, for whatever the reason, life didn't seem so bad. And you know what I mean? And then yesterday I went out, and I went out to a lake that used to give you good bags of both largies and smallies. And boy, I used to catch some giants there. So I got a bug up my rear end, and I decided to go there. And let's just say this. I caught a lot of smallmouth, and small is the key word. I caught a lot of smallmouth, and I don't think I had 6 pounds at the end.
Like an Ohio River bag of smallmouth.
Yeah, exactly. Not even, dude. Like even more embarrassing than that. And I caught so many catfish and walleye, it was ridiculous.
Well, that still had to be fun.
Well, the cats were fun because they were, Mugambo.
It sounds like you might have taken a day off of the structure fishing to go scoping, Frank.
Well, I should have.
Oh, so you weren't scoping them.
I was kind of half and half. I was
gotcha.
half and half. When all my rock piles were not giving me what I wanted, I had deep stumps in 14 to 18 feet of water, and I went to the stumps with a minnow, and that proved to be about just as worth it.
So do you think they still live in there and it was a weird transition deal? Or do you think that maybe the fishery changed and the year classes of fish that you had caught in previous years had died and now there's just a bunch of babies in there?
Well, that's part of it. Part of it is there was the white bass fry hatched, all the bait fish fry hatched. There was shad from top to not just shad. There were all kinds of bait from top to bottom. The bite was so lethargic, it was crazy. Like even the smallmouth I was catching on DD22s, like I could feel the bait vibrating, and then it would just stop vibrating.
And they would just be 12-inchers.
Yeah, they were
still
like
fun though. I mean, they still get. I mean, if you're gonna catch one species of 12-incher, smallmouth is a pretty good one. Like I know when I go up to the St. Lawrence, the first couple little ones I always catch, those pounders. Yeah. You're always like, how do they pull that hard?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. I'm like, okay, so it's a 2-pounder, and I get it in. It's like a pound 2.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
And we've all been there. But I mean, it's better to catch that than to catch nothing.
Oh yeah, well, no, nothing wasn't. I was catching them. I just wasn't. And here's what I did, because I chose a part of the lake where I usually win tournaments, and I fished every single thing that I always fish, and it took me the better part of the day to cover it all. Where in hindsight, if I was practicing for a tournament, the writing was on the wall after the first hour. And I would have vacated and ran to a different section of the lake. And I would have also not just targeted smallmouth. I would have been looking for largemouth. So I wasn't disappointed. I was disappointed in the outcome, but not disappointed in my performance, because I would have done it much differently if it was a derby. And I knew that, but I really wanted a smallmouth, and I just.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a risk.
Yeah, and I
did not take a risk at the Mississippi in the last Open. Like I completely vacated all day 4, how to find the fish, current, how to find them on rivers, and basically stayed within 2 miles of the launch ramp, threw a Nico and Dad and fished a tail race to try to get to the EQs. And it did not go well the first day, Frank. I caught 2 fish the first day, complete hours of meltdown, and then bounced back with a nice bag on the.
Yeah, that second day saved your rear end, bro.
Yeah, but no, I had one of those on the first day where you're like, what the heck? I want to show you this. I found a sneak hole. I'm going to share the screen real quick. Have you ever seen this? Well, this is me re-rigging. Now watch this little sneak hole that I found.
Oh yeah.
So the problem was the fish were like, can you see my mouse?
Oh yeah.
We're way back in here, but there was this random jet ski slip. So I had to ramp the fish over the jet ski slip to get him out from behind. And then if you also notice, the rocks are darker. The water had dropped about 8 inches from practice. They were low gangbusters back here.
Yeah. So there's a thing that I fish that is exactly like that. And I'm going to tell you my approach.
Okay, I would be curious because is that the size of the smallmouth you were catching?
damn right, and I'm proud of every one of them.
I mean, dude, it was like every cast on this thing, and then I would hose them. Boom, and then whoops,
slide.
But there weren't any big ones out. There weren't any big ones back there, Frank.
Okay, so I have a place that is exactly 1,000% identical to that.
Okay.
And so the problem that I have is where your boat position is now. Somehow at the end of that dock, they put a boat.
Oh no.
And I can't cast down the inside edge of it anymore. So I started nosing my boat into each slip and using my flipping stick, my 8-footer, and taking it over the dock and dropping it straight down on the other side. And Frankie and I did that one day, and we were literally catching 4-pound smallmouth and trying to get them hoisted up over the dock with one, you set the hook and you lift them up and you get them over. And it was disgusting.
That was the heaviest spinning rod that I had. And see, like that one, I thought it was a good one, and I get them caught behind it. And I'm like, oh, of course, the only good one. Nope. There he is.
Dude, that is so funny. Sliding them over that thing.
Yeah, it was fun. Like in the tournament, like I had set up a rod specifically for that.
That's so funny, dude.
And then I had a complete and total meltdown on day one. I was thinking about you. Thought I had a pretty solid game plan. Didn't even cross my mind that it would be 11:27 and I wouldn't have a keeper in the box. Didn't even cross my mind. It's not pleasant. This area of Earth right now when it comes to the fishing. Grand scheme of things, like I said, life, whatever. Then I didn't even realize that I said this until I went through
something, eat it. Just anything. Just something, nothing will eat my things. But things are not edible. They're not eating my things. I don't know why they're not eating my baits. Nothing is eating my baits.
That is
so that's how day one went.
Priceless.
And then on day two, I would be curious. Do you net your big fish, like even when you're fun fishing, or how did you land your bigger smallmouth? Because I definitely did not land the fish of the tournament for me that saved it, that got me into the EQs. I boat flipped it on 10-pound test, and I had no business boat flipping it. I would be curious as a smallmouth guy. Like, here, we'll watch it at first, and then I would like to get your expert take on if I should have scooped it or if I did the right thing and just misjudged it by about 6 inches.
You got 10-pound leader.
Yeah,
that's a big risk right there. That's a huge.
That's a 4-pound smallmouth.
Listen, when you throw him over the side and he's laying half on your gunnel. Okay, right there. If you don't keep him coming in the boat, he's flopping back in the lake and you're probably losing him. So you did right there. If you don't keep him going to inside that boat, that fish is probably gone.
And the rod even turns over there. I mean, look, like that's my entire season on the line, and I choose to land the biggest fish that bites all week like that.
Yeah, that's a risky business, man. But you know what? You got him in the boat, so that's all that matters. If it's a single hook, I'm gonna just reach down and belly grab him. If it's a treble hook, I might throw a net on them. But when I fished Bassmasters, we weren't allowed to use a net.
Yeah, and we're not either.
Yeah, so if I caught him on a crankbait, I would have at least 12-pound fluoro. I probably would have bow flipped them. But on that rig, I would have probably grabbed them. But you got him in the boat, so you did it right.
I did it. Definitely didn't do it right.
Well, he went to the weigh-in, so you
He
did
did.
it.
He went to the weigh-in, got
Yes.
his picture taken, released, and I'm headed to the EQs. So
yes, exactly. You're
it's
headed to the
ironic
EQs.
that you talked about a massive windstorm that has came through your area and damaged your roof, because today's topic is bass fishing in slick, calm conditions.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And here, I thought about the topic, Matt. You had mentioned it the 2 weeks ago. You mentioned it, and I thought about the topic, and I thought, well, that's going to be easy. I'll just talk about this, and that. And then I'm like, but wait a minute. We got different lake types. We've got lakes that don't have grass, lakes that have grass. So I decided to break it down, and I did not include river systems in this, like true rivers, because current is so important on slick, flat days that would be an entire show all unto its own.
Fair.
So this is just lakes. So we're going to go glass flat, right? So I'm going to talk grass lakes first. All right. And Chuck Smith will appreciate that, being on the Finger Lakes. So we're going to talk about grass lakes first. So the first thing you have to realize is that on the very, very early in the morning on those flat days on grass lakes, you can have an absolute hellacious topwater bite. But on those days, I'm not throwing loud walking baits. I'll throw a pop-ar style bait, prop baits. Like the Crazy Shad is one of my favorite for that, because I could keep it super subtle. Just go make the props move, and you could literally keep it in an area this big for as long as you want to. And I find that a lot of times, the bass, they'll be down there and they'll be looking at it and not committing to it, and then all of a sudden that little tiny little, and then they come up and get it. That's fairly obvious. The other very obvious thing on grass lakes is punching mats. Punching mats on slick, calm days is legit. I mean, it's very legit.
Like that's the ideal conditions for it. You want slick when you're punching grass, right?
Right. It's very legit. So, and very obvious. So I talked about the first two obvious things first on grass lakes. Now we're going to go to, we're going to work our way to the outside edge of deep grass. And when I say deep grass, it's going to be relative to the lake, but for this purpose, we're going to say 8 to 15 feet deep. Good grass edges, 8 to 15 feet deep. This is where my 3/32 ounce Ned rig on a 5-inch dinger is paramount, because I will lob that thing up into the grass where the grass starts to break down and just shake it off and let it fall down to the next level, shake it off, let it fall down to the next level. It's super, super subtle. The 3/32. What did I say? 5/32?
No, you said 3/32.
Okay. The 3/32 is critical, because with the 5-inch dinger, it will actually take a big swim in a big circle as it's falling down. And I mean, it's a big circle. It's not a little one. You could see it on live scope, and it looks like it's doing a lightning bolt down on live scope, but really it's doing a big spiral down. The other thing is a 3/32 ounce flick shake. And with the flick shake, I'll use a 5-inch dinger or a 6.5-inch trick worm or a 6-inch finesse worm on the flick shake, because sometimes they may want that thinner profile, and the thinner profile moves a little bit differently than the dinger does. So that's what I'll do. So it's very slow, it's very methodical, it's very meticulous fishing. Now, everything I'm talking about here, I'm not talking about throwing an urchin. I'm not talking about live scoping with a minnow. These can be extremely effective on slick, flat days. I'm talking about conventional fishing, using live scope to my advantage to stay on the weed edge, to find out where a patch of grass grows out a little bit deeper, a little bit farther. So I'm using my forward facing eyes to show me the irregularities in the grass or the rocks on the outside edge of the grass. So this is a hunt and peck method of fishing. It's slow going, but it could be insanely rewarding. The next rig I would toss around, and to be very, very honest with you, Matt turned me on to this. It's not one of my go-tos, but I do it now because of the way it falls, is the Nico rig. The Nico rig falls different than all the other ones, and it gives you an opportunity to penetrate some of the grass inside the grass without having to feather it down the tops of the deep grass. This can actually drop into the grass. And so there's a place and a time for that, for sure. And then the other two rigs are very obvious rigs. I'm going to have a flip and stick with a soft plastic, and I'm going to have a flip and stick with a jig. Now, here's the reason. The soft plastic, I'm going to use mostly with a heavy slip sinker because I want it to go to the root system of the deeper grass. I want it to go through the grass into the root system because the grass forms pockets underwater. It forms pockets where the root ball is. There's a pocket around that grass. And the bass on some of those slick, calm days, they'll get inside those things for ambush points. And if they're in there, you're not gonna draw them out on the net or the flick shake. The jig I use for the outside edge of the grass, where I'm throwing it into where the grass peters down, and it may not be so tall because it's deep. I'm throwing it into there, and I'm fishing the zone from the edge of the grass to 6-7 feet out from the grass, because a lot of times they'll mill around in that zone just outside the grass. Again, it's slow fishing. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my crankbaits on the outside edge of the grass. But here's the difficult thing with the cranks. You have to get a reaction bite. So at this time, my main retrieve is I'm going to be burning it. I am going to be literally smoking it down that edge. I'm going to parallel that edge, and I am going to smoke that bait because I have to make the bass want to eat it. If I see on scope that they come out and they go back in the grass, they come out and they go back in the grass, then I'm going to slow roll it as slow as I can. So it's just wobbling down there and just wobbling past them because maybe they didn't want to commit to the speed. This is where scope can help you garnish a bite where you otherwise can't get one. And so that's, for the most part, that's how I approach a true grass lake. And I say true grass lake, I mean a lake that without the grass you would have to structure fish, but with the grass, you're using the grass on the structure. And so that's the difference. Okay, Champlain can go either or. Champlain's one of those lakes that can fish like a grass lake or it can fish like a structure lake. That's kind of an either or. Gunnersville, yeah, an either or. The grass can be very important in Gunnersville, or the ledges can be very important at Gunnersville. So that's an either or lake. Most of your true grass lakes, guys that live on them, they know what they are. So the next is lakes without grass.
Okay.
Or very little
I have some
grass.
questions on grass lakes. So
okay, go ahead.
Well, do you want to do the questions now, or do you want to do the overview on all of them and then go back to them?
No, let's do it.
We'll do the questions now.
We'll go.
So on the grass lakes, when it's slick calm, I want to break it down into species too.
Okay.
But are the largemouth more likely to bury into the vegetation in glass calm conditions?
Yeah, they are. So here, I got a perfect example. I was on a lake with mixed. And generally speaking, in the summer, I'm on the outside edge, and I'm fishing DD22s, fat free sevens. So you know I'm in that 12 to 15 foot range. And then I got a 7/16 ounce jig on, and I got a soft plastic on a 1/2 ounce slip sinker. And then I got my Ned rig, and I got my flick shake. That's my approach on this particular lake. It has never failed me. It has absolutely 100% never failed me. Now, that being said, every time I go, predominantly I've got a south wind or a north wind.
Mm-hmm.
It might be southwest, southeast, northwest, northeast, but it's predominantly north or south. So I've always got ripple on the water. I've always got wind going. This one day I went out there. This was last year. I went out there, and it was mirage flat. And I went on the outside edges normally, because normally that's the deal. And I catch a 2-pound largemouth. So I said, well, maybe I'm just not on the right stretch yet. Let me just keep running. So I keep running. I keep looking. I keep running. I'm catching them. 1.5 pound, 2-pounders, 1.5 pound, 2-pounders. And I'm like, there is something amiss here. And it is like disgusting out. Like it's disgustingly flat. So I run back to a place where I caught a 2-pounder first thing in the morning on the outside edge. And I just happened to slide up on the flat. And the flat's about 4 to 6 feet. It varies. It's not flat. It's flat, but it's, it varies. And I slide up there, and I grab the slip sinker rig, and I flip it out there, let it go to the bottom, and my rod loads up. And I lean in on the fish, and it's like a 4.5, 5-pounder. So I'm like, uh-oh, I missed something. And here, the day is winding down for me because I had spent a lot of time offshore. So the day's winding down. I wound up finishing that day with about 26 pounds.
Wow.
And none of them came deeper than 6 feet, and everything was buried in the grass. Everything was buried. The smallmouth were offshore floating like crazy underneath the bait fish on that lake.
Okay, so this is in general. I know there's exceptions to every rule. This is the way I understand it up north, because you get those days where you get a high pressure system where it's just slick up there. The way I understand it is the light and especially clear water. Typically, you're thinking grass is going to clean, so we're not talking about really dirty water. Dirty water mitigates the wind in a lot of cases to where they seem to feed
and we
roughly similarly
regardless.
Regardless.
And we are going to touch on that.
Okay. But the light penetration in the water prevents the fish from being able to hunt and ambush the bait hunt the bait like they like to, which is why you're either going to get a reaction bite out of it. But the majority of the baits that you just mentioned are feeding bites where the thing sees it, comes out, and eats it. Where you're targeting are close to ambush areas. So that's why it's predominantly slower and plastic. You might be able to get a punch bite in a reaction bite, but most likely you're using baits that are feeding baits that you're putting in front of the fish and giving them the opportunity to see it, get down, roll, and then bite on it instead of a jerk bait, a spinner bait, a square bill, an Alabama rig, a swim bait, something like that.
That's correct, because they're opportunistic predators. So here, the light thing you mentioned was pretty paramount. So here's it's not that the light hurts the bass's eyes. The bass could see way farther under overcast conditions underwater. Mm-hmm. They can see farther. They're also camouflaged better. And so they roam and hunt in cloud cover because they can, and they can do it efficiently. When the sun comes out and you have clear water, they have to ambush because they're as easy to spot as their prey is to spot.
And then all the baits you mentioned are silent baits.
Correct. They're subtle, very slow, very subtle. A bass is an opportunistic predator. If something's just falling down in front of him, he's going to just go boop, and get it because it's an easy meal, no expenditure. There's no energy expense. There's nothing. They just walk over or swim over, slurp it up, and they got it. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of it.
Okay. I would say on the Nico rig, I know you don't have decades of experience with it. It is a 100% go-to for me in almost any situation, particularly on a new body of water. I'll do a real quick rundown of what it is. 1/0, I like the hook that has the little titanium weed guards on it because it lets the bait get hung up but not caught. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like the bait gets caught on it and then you can pop it free. I have 3 different types of nail weights. I'll either have a 1/32 or a 1/16. The 1/32 on that, we'll just use a 6-inch trick worm, for example. You can use a mag hit worm. You can use a 5-inch dinger. You can do whatever you want, but that lighter one will actually it won't go straight down when you have it on the Nico. I always put my hook in the first third of the bait, not in the middle. It's not a wacky rig, it's a Nico rig.
Right.
And then when you rig it, if this is here, I'll show you. This is the most important part of the whole thing. If this is the tail of your worm and this is the head of your worm, so tail, head, I'm putting my hook right like this. And if I'm fishing it over here, so I'm bringing it this way, this is the head of my bait. The head of this pen here is where the weight is. This is the tail of the bait right here. The hook is right here. I'm rigging my hook like this. So when I pull it, this bait is collapsing like a C and then falling, and then collapsing like a C and falling. If you hook it the other way, you're going to be bringing it backwards, or it's going to be on the side, and it's not. Right. So the key is your hook is right here. So basically your hook is like that on the worm, and the weight completely, more so than any other bait, changes the fall of it. You're going to get a gliding circle on a 32nd ounce, which is up super shallow. Like if you're around docks or vegetation patches, it'll kind of flying lure glide. The 16th jammed into it is going to make it fall more straight to where, like, if you're in the deeper grass, you can get it and then you can do, and then let it fall straight down. If you're on an edge and you're looking for something erratic, get a soft lead and make it about 16th ounce. When you jam it into your bait, take your hands and just slightly curve that, because the tungsten is not going to bend, right?
Right.
But the lead, once it's in there, it's soft. You can actually put pressure on it and put a slight either curve down or up on it. That way, when it's falling, you get the spiral of the tube. You have the fall slow of a flick shake or a dinger. And then when you get it down there and pop it, it's very erratic and slow. And based on whether you curve it down or curve it slightly up, that will determine on whether it goes like that or whether it has a death spiral on it.
Dude, that should have been for bait hacks, man.
Yeah, we can do that on another show. But that's just, and then as a rule of thumb, if you want to save your baits, there's all sorts of different little Nico hacks you can do it. I get the 5mm rubber tubing, clear white. And what that does is it keeps your hook in place and it keeps the bait from rolling around and getting the hook point back in the bait. You should, if everything is right, have a 95% hook to land ratio on a 6-inch Nico,
which is pretty stout.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yep. There you go.
Good. I like that. I learned something.
Yeah. This is all great info. How to spool a spinning reel without line twist. Use braid.
Yeah. Use braid as a main line.
Listen, there's a couple guys who don't use, like Rojas, straight fluorocarbon. There's a couple guys that are straight fluorocarbon.
Listen,
you have been down that. Your odyssey with spinning reels and rods has changed over the years as far as line, has it not, Frank?
Yes, you know that for sure. I was a straight fluoro guy from the get-go on it, and there is no advantage to that. There's no advantage. It took me a long time to figure that out. Basically, my leader length is 2 times my rod length. That's what I do. So it gives me the opportunity to retie throughout the course of the day or 2 days and not have to do another FG knot. But the braid is basically, it's just taken up, it's the, like you're really, the braid is so much more advantaged because there's no line twist anymore with it. And as long as you are semi tight on it, you can feel every bite. It's when you got a big slack, your line's laying on the water. If the fish hits it, you won't feel it. So you kind of have to control your drop on it. But the advantage, the braid to the fluoro leader, the advantage far outweighs everything.
99% of guys that are fishing for money go with it. I'll say it a straight plug. BTL is sponsored by Sunline. Every single one of my rods and reels has this on it. I changed them at the beginning of the year, and then if I like totally screw something up, I might have to respool once during the year. But that spinning rod, I have backing on it for the first half, and then I put an entire spool. This is, if you're just getting into it, this is the easiest, most manageable, smooth casting, not tying right here. 12-pound test, Sunline Overwatch. Comes in a 125-yard spool. It's $30, $26 by the time you get it done. Put that on your spinning rod. That's what I have on mine. It is no wind knots on it. If you use line that's the braided line that's too light, stuff that's slick, you can end up with wind knots. This stuff is money. 12-pound test. Don't go with the 8. Don't go with the 10. Go with the 12. You can use it on minnows. You can use it drop shot, Nico, wacky, everything. 7-foot medium, 2,500 or 3,000 spool. Put it on right at the front. If you want to learn the FG knots, learn the FG knots. I use a uni to uni. It's incredibly easy to tie. It's incredibly easy to learn. If you're nervous about your braid to fluoro knot, get 2 different colors. Get a low vis or a high vis yellow or a green and a white in 20 or 25-pound test, and do it in your house in good lighting with YouTube right there that shows you how to tie the uni to uni, and tie it 4 or 5 times. I mean, I can retie a leader in 20 seconds now. It's not the smoothest knot. It is what I have confidence in. I don't break it off at the knot. I can retie it. And I mean, I would venture to say anybody can learn a uni to uni in 30 minutes. I'm 6 months into trying to figure out how to tie the damn FG.
So I tie the FG knot all the time. And I love the FG knot, and I'm going to just give you a word of caution. If you don't tie it properly, it's going to come undone. If you tie it properly, it is not coming undone. There is no possible way. The FG knot is super thin. It goes through your guides. It barely makes a sound going through your guides. It doesn't hang up when you're fighting the fish and you reel the knot up to the tip, the rod tip. It doesn't hang up. It comes right through. It's effortless. I'm a huge fan of the FG knot. I tie them all the time. And at first, it was a little bit tricky for me. The first few times I did it was tricky. There's a new way to finish it at the end, which I really like, and I can't describe it to you, but you're making a loop and then you're wrapping it around 4 or 5 times, and then you grab the loop and you unwrap the loop. I
saw that.
That will never come out. It will never, never, never come out. I started doing that religiously.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do it a couple of times, it's not complicated.
Yeah.
The principle behind it is flawless. And so I'm sticking with it. Like Matt said, he hasn't had any trouble with the double uni. I haven't had any issues with the FG knot, except for the first few ones I tied were problematic. But after that, I haven't had an issue. And I tie them in the boat. When it's windy out, I have to retie one every now and then. I'm redoing it. Usually when I retie them, it's because I broke my line, my fluorocarbon.
Yeah. And
it's not long enough for me. And I don't want a tiny short leader. I want a good leader length. So then I'll just redo it. Or if I get lazy and, fish with the leader for a month. I'm like, I better change it.
Just to take care of this. No, Frank and Matt did not just finish dead last in the Open. Frank Jr. fished the Open, had a good first day, actually got caught in the lock and got locked out on day 2. That's why I didn't catch him. I had to go finish 120th to finish in the EQs, finish 120th out of 200, finish 54th in the EQs. The 0.0, it was a business decision. So I'm in the EQs now. So that was an incorrect statement. Desert Dog 1125. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. We got to do lakes without grass.
Yeah, lakes without grass.
It's okay. So I'm going to call this lakes without grass or very little grass, like almost next to no grass. So again, we're going to go obvious first. Okay, obvious is going to be boat docks because boat docks offer shade. Our watercolor is 3 foot of visibility to semi-stained. So shade is important. Current is very important. So if you have the opportunity to run up the river towards the tail race, the closer you get to the tail race, the more that you have current. Current starts to change things.
And that's all stuff you can do on the Deep Dive app too. So you don't even have to check it. You can do the water clarity, you can do the current, you can do the wind all in the one app.
Yeah, you could literally do it. You could literally do it in your driveway. And so here's the other thing now. This is something that it's obvious, but I don't think people pay too much attention to this. Fishing the shade here is key. Okay. So you could literally fish shade throughout most of the day on some of these reservoirs. You pick the high, steep banks, and the sun takes longer to get over the higher, steeper banks. So you have a shade line throughout much of the morning before noon. You have a shade line. The other thing that I have to reiterate, bluffs offer shade, and bluffs are a great bet when it's slick, flat, and sunny out. Because as the bluff is more of a sheer drop off, there's going to be a shade line over that bluff. And usually bluff walls aren't on a flat terrain. The terrain behind the bluff wall climbs. So it's going to offer you shade longer. And here's the thing to remember. The shadow, as the sun starts to come up, the shadow on the bluff will go deeper and deeper until noon when the sun's right over it. And then after noon, and usually it's around 2 or 3 o'clock, you're going to have the shaded banks on the opposite side of the lake that you're fishing.
So you're talking about this in this area right now. This is just a stock image, but this is a bluff right here, undercut, and you can see that darker water right there. So traditionally, if it was overcast or something, you might have the fish that are in the current or that are chasing bait out here. When it's glass slick and stuff like that, those same fish that were all in this area are going to slide over to this little shaded area right here.
Correct. That's a really good slick, calm, sunny hack. And most of the lakes, below the Ohio River, east and west that I've been on, offer bluff options, like true bluff options. And so now we have to talk about structure and offshore because let's be honest, it's summer, so we're going to talk about it. So the structure and offshore fishing, you can play shadows and stuff the same way. Like if you're on a river ledge, for example, depending on the time of day you're on and the sun location in the sky, could depend on which side of the river channel is going to offer you shade. This is tricky because just because it offers you shade, just because a ledge offers you shade, doesn't mean fish are going there. It has to be a productive part of the ledge. It has to have wood, rock. It's got to have something to attract the fish there. It's the same thing with offshore humps and bumps and rock piles and stuff like that. So here bait choices become important. So, and I'm not talking about minnows and urchins and koikis and all that. This is conventional. So now what I'm going to do is, once we find the sweet spot, whether it's got stumps on it, rocks on it, whether it's a slow gradual bump and then it's got a sharp edge on one side, because I'm always going to fish the sharp edge. If it's a slow bump and it's got a sharp edge, I'm always going to fish the sharp edge. Now the fishing baits become pretty standard. I'm still going to throw the Carolina rig. I'm going to throw football jigs, but now the micro jig might be more important, because now I can feather a micro jig. I can play the micro jig game. I can sneak it up and crawl it over things, and it's tiny and it's compact. And so, that's a good image, man.
Yeah, you were talking about the shadows and you were talking about the offshore stuff. So this is just a stock image of it. But what you're seeing here is there's your side imaging stuff where you might have fish where it's all that roaming and all that. You can actually see this area right here is the rock. That's the shadow behind the rock. Glass slick, sunny outside. They're more likely to sit in this area here than they are out here chasing stuff where they would still be on the same piece of structure in windy or overcast conditions. Right. But now you can take that micro jig and really put it where you need to in the shade where they're sitting now.
Right, because you could literally crawl it right down the side of that rock. Now look at the ledge on the other side.
Yep.
Yeah, see this? I was telling you about finding the sharp edge. That's the sharp edge. And that whole edge is shadowed. And quite frankly, that's a great picture because that's all rock.
Yeah.
That's a really good picture, actually.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a
yeah. You're always going to see a shadow on your side imaging like that. So that is a good point. Don't confuse the sonar shadow with the sun shadow, but just based on where the sun is, if it's based on that, you're going to see that's going to be an underwater shadow.
Right. We're using the shadow as an example to show what the shadow would look like underwater. And so I'm still going to use that. Now I'm going to use a free rig again, but I'm going to use the free rig on a lighter weight because I want a super slow fall on it. And so I'll be able to fish the free rig in stumps and wood and stuff like that, where an open Ned rig hook would be problematic in brush. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to use the free rig. Brush piles are absolutely astronomical to fish on slick flat days. The bass will literally bury inside of them. And so now you can do your typical brush pile fishing, but I like the free rig for that too, because now I'm going to get weight separation. It's going to flutter down, and most of your bites on the free rig come as that bait's starting to settle down in the water. And the second time you're going to get the bite is when you pull that free rig to the weight. When it hits the weight, it's going to pop back up again. So when I throw it, I let it hit the bottom, and I don't move it erratically. I very slowly slide it into the weight. When it hits the weight, it bounces. You could feel it hit the weight. I stop it and leave it there a second. And then if I'm in a brush pile, I'm going to lift it up over the tall branch. And when I get up to the top of the tall branch, I'm just going to give the rod a little snap and let the weight separate again and let it go back down again. If I'm on a rock pile and I'm fishing the free rig, now I'm going to hop it erratically. It's going to hit the rocks, and then I'm going to snap it back up and let it fall on a slack line because I want that weight separation again, and then the bait will glide back down. And again, crankbaits offshore, and you're going to have to decide. Oh man, alive! Dude.
That's a slick, calm day during a practice day in the last open on Kentucky Lake. That's a brush pile, and those are all bass that were in the brush pile. When I went back on
hot spots.
When I went back on day one, it was windy. They were scattered. That didn't look like that on day one. That was the last or second. Yeah, this is the last second day of practice. Glass calm. They were sucked up into it. When I went back on day one of the tournament, I caught 1 15-incher out of there, because that exact brush pile was not holding them. It's crazy that you just said that, because I literally just thought, oh, that's exactly what happened on Kentucky Lake.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Cut you off.
Oh no, you're good.
But that was a great.
But it's true. They get right inside of it. And so so crankbaits now. I talk a lot about crankbaits. Crankbaits put some gigantic bass in the boat for me all the time. The crankbait is an experiment because you don't know if you've got to smoke that bait back to the boat, or if you've got to slow roll it, or if you've got to crawl it like a Carolina rig. And when I say crawl it like a Carolina rig, that's when I over deep the bait. So let's say I'm fishing a high spot or a ledge or something that's 10 to 12 feet deep. That's when I'm taking a DD22, a fat-free 7 or an NXS that I know is going to get down to 17, 18 feet. And I throw it up there and I crank it down as soon as I make the bottom contact. Then I'm going to pull it, drag it like a Carolina rig, pause it, pick up my slack, drag it like the Carolina rig, because what I don't want it doing is dredging so hard that it's just going everywhere. Because when you burn it, you're going to get that same reaction. So if burning it doesn't work, you've got to crawl it. And so that's what I do. The bass are going to tell you everything. None of this stuff is foolproof and none of it's bulletproof, because the bass will tell you everything. But day in and day out, percentage wise, that this is the kind of stuff that does it for me on slick flat days. When we were in Buffalo, the first day blew like a hurricane. We had 12-foot waves. The second day went mirage flat in the afternoon, and I was so happy because I knew nobody was going to catch them good anymore. And then I stayed on them, and I lightened up my weights, and I did all that stuff, and I came in with a good bag all 3 days. And it was the slick flat day that kept me in the lead in that tournament. So this stuff does work.
Extremes. I'm getting that vibe. Extremes. You're either going to go small, finesse, subtle, or you're going to crash, reaction bite, big baits, put it in their face, make them eat it, make them make a decision.
Right.
And then you're going to use the feedback as to which extreme you want to go with.
Right. A friend of mine, who I met through Troy, my buddy Troy, a friend of mine, his name was Steve, and he put it like this, because he was a Norman freak. He threw Normans like it was his job. So he put it like this. He said, if you sneak up and walk up to a pit bull, he's not going to react to you. And if you slowly walk away, he's not going to do anything to you. But if you turn around and run, he's coming after you and he's going to get you. And that's how he described burning it, why he burns crankbaits. He said because
describe when I got attacked by one. My buddy was at the house yelling, "Don't run!"
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you do, don't run. That's exactly right. So that's that. So the last thing I want to talk about is a shallow, dirty, or off-colored water lakes. And I'm going to tell you this: in dirty, dirty water, just stay shallow. You're going to want to fish all types of shallow cover, whether it's rock, wood, grass, riprap, whatever it is, make it shallow. The lure of choice for this type of fishing is super, super easy. I'm going to throw a square bill. First and foremost, I'm going to have a square bill on, and it's going to be a Norman Fat Boy because I want the wide, bulbous action wobble this bait has. It displaces a ton of water, and water displacement is very important in dirty water because the bass feel that in their lateral line. The next thing I'm going to do, buzz baits and toad style baits. Total 100% reaction bite. The bass only has a couple of feet of water over its head. If that thing's coming through, the water's dirty, it's off color. They may see the silhouette from the bait, come up and smash it, and then of course flipping. I'm gonna flip because any blowdown, any wood, anything that offers the bass cover is where they're going to be. In dirty water, the bass have more of a tendency to plaster themselves to the cover. And so you want to have something that's reacting off of whatever cover you're fishing. And that's it. And the key is stay shallow. I have not had, in my experience, offshore bites produce in muddy water. Now, you can catch a few doing it, but you are taking the averages, you're taking the percentages out of your hands now. And so don't get trapped. The perfect example was when Kershaw won the Classic. The lake got muddy. Everybody was plastering him offshore. The lake got muddy. He went to the boat docks and he won the Classic. He went shallow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's factual. All right. It's factual. Now you gotta understand, dirty water is not stained with 3.5 feet of visibility. That's not dirty water. Dirty water is when it looks like all the lakes I get to fish with Matt in January.
bait disappears when it hits the water. And that's
Yeah.
what color it normally is. Little tip of the cap to you. Said Matt Zimmerly said, I fished the sea rig with braid. Your setup, unreal how you can feel the bottom with that braid.
Yeah, it's uncanny. You literally know exactly what that thing is going through, what the bottom makeup is, everything. It's uncanny.
Good point. Wes said, Mr. Frank, if this is a fishing tournament strategy, if it's hot and slick, boat docks get hit like Mike Tyson's opponents.
Well, they do, but that's going to be, they do, but a lot of guys are just going to run them and throw jigs and stuff on them.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand something. You have to have something subtly different than most guys. And here, I'm going to just tell you something about boat docks from my experience. Not all boat docks have fish on them, and there are some boat docks that are way better than others. It's in a tournament situation, it's up to you to understand which boat docks have fish and which boat docks don't, because it's not just about getting in a line of 200 boat docks and going down and flipping them all.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how I fish boat docks. I make sure that I know which boat docks have brush on them, which boat docks have rock underneath them. You side image it. Just go down and side image the whole row, and you can figure out which ones are going to be the productive ones. There might be a dredge that goes to them. One might be, in a small drain, and a foot of difference in depth could be paramount on that. So that's kind of how you got to do the boat dock game.
I'm the same way with boat docks. Like you fish these opens with 200 boats. And like I said, I'm not by no means saying I'm KVD. I just chatting with you on it. But the way I would look at it, so like if this is a boat dock right there, so like that's the white paper is the water and that's the boat dock. Look at my drawing. Mm-hmm. So to me,
I love it.
Every single boat dock is going to have a strike radius, meaning if you put your bait in there and there is a fish there, he's going to eat it within that radius. But if you look at that, it could be the corner where it is. It could be the front post. It could be skipping a dinger into the biggest shaded part in the very back. So like on that entire boat dock, there's 3 strike windows in there. Let's say there's 3 fish underneath there. Well, you could have 3 or 4 guys that go down that, and there's a lot of casts that you could make there that either A, they're not skilled enough to put it underneath it to where one is, B, they don't get the angles right, or C, they catch one of them and then move on and still leave 2 of the spots.
Correct.
So you need to pay attention to it because, once you figure out where it is it corners, is it front post, is it back underneath it, you can fish boat docks behind people. And if those people didn't put it into that strike radius, they're not going to catch that fish and it's still under there. Yes, I know Frank draws much better pictures, Wes.
That's okay, man. But
that's how I get it through my head. If I see a guy and I'm in a tournament and I'm committed to that row of docks and there's a guy in front of me, that's how I go through in my head and go, I can still be productive on this row of docks, not, oh my God, every fish is freaking gone.
Yeah. And the best thing in the world is spider webs. Because if you see a boat dock and there's spider webs in an area, no lure went in there.
Yep.
That's the biggest tell is the spider webs. And I've also seen where they want to be underneath the walkway out to the dock. And the guys that fish the docks don't catch the one that's underneath the walkway.
Yep. Or there's a guy that's skipping walkways and he's not hitting the corner docks. And the fish is sitting on the back of the corner dock eating bluegill.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to that. You know, the fishing is fascinating because if you pay attention, um, you pick up a lot of things, and the more you pick up on, the more your subconscious recall feeds you that information while you're fishing. Even if you're on a different lake, your subconscious recall will go, oh yeah, remember that, boom, 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 and you just start going through the motions and without having to consciously think of a decision.
I don't know if you want to go into this, and I'm curious if you've ever done it. I have done it unsuccessfully, and I've also done it very successfully. And that is generating your own waves on glass slick days with bait fish present.
Okay, the only time that I've seen this work was on a blueback herring lake, and if my memory is correct, I almost think it was Hartwell. We would run the boat up on the saddles between the islands and do a big donut in front of it, wash the water up on the saddle, spin the boat around and grab a spook and wait. And then the bass would come up and we would catch them that way. That's really the only time intentionally on purpose that I've done that. And it was blueback herring, and that's because of the nature of the herring. But I will tell you this. I was out on a lake, and of course I can't mention the lakes. I'm sorry, guys, but Ohio only has, very tiny bodies of water. And I was fishing a shallow rock pile, and the rock pile came up to about 6 feet on top. And here comes a jet ski, and there's a wave boat coming by, and the jet ski is on the guy's wave, and they literally run right over the top of the rock pile. I mean,
no.
Oh no. I mean,
not my rock pile.
I mean, they couldn't have run it over any better if there was a marker buoy that said run over here. And I was so mad that I took my crankbait and I rifled my crankbait at the back of the jet ski, not at the jet ski, but behind the jet ski. I literally got 3 reel turns off on my reel and caught a 4-pounder. Right. They're still driving over it. And there's mud. They're kicking up the bottom. And I literally caught a 4-pounder. So there is truth to that, where boat wakes will generate activity because it stirs things up and it makes the bait get crazy. You didn't think about it. If they stir up enough of it, the crayfish on the grass or the rocks, they start shooting around. The bait fish start shooting around, and the bass use it as an opportunity. Now, I will tell you this: on a lake that gets next to zero boat traffic,
probably not smart.
That will freak them out.
Yeah.
But on lakes that have continual boat traffic on it, it becomes part of their environment, and they use it. Just like if you go to a marina and you're fishing inside a marina, guys are starting their boats up, their big inboard, outboards, water spitting out. They're walking on the docks. I've seen bass laying up against boats that are tied up that are running, and they're just sitting there, floating right up against it like it's no big deal. They get used to that.
I've never even thought about that.
Yeah, they get used to it.
The weed harvesters are money, says Chuck Smith, who's up there. That's interesting. I bet it's going to displace every single bluegill and crawfish that's in the area as the weed harvester goes through.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's like a shrimp boat. It's like a shrimp boat in the ocean.
He also said any secrets for slick, flat smallies on Oneida. Give up any of that juice there, or just send him out with a good.
No, that's dude.
That's shallow rock piles in the grass where they're ambushing on the edge of the grass. Find them on side imaging. There's hundreds of them out there, and put that micro jig right in the middle. They'll shoot out and eat it.
Or the flick shake or the Ned with the 5-inch stinger. But here, look, I'm going to tell you, don't go to the tiny stuff on the Ned. You want something that's wiggly, moving, that they see. Like one of my a really good finish on Champlain for me, I was doing that with a trick worm. So, my buddies were drop shotting 4-inch robo worms, and I went to the 6.5-inch trick worm.
Mm-hmm.
And I beat them by 3 pounds every day.
Last thing I want to chat with you about before we wrap this up. I wrote down noise on the glass, slick, calm days. Do you feel like noise transmits in the water, whether it's slamming a rod locker, whacking your bait on the surface if you get a little bit of grass on it? Are you cognitively aware, cognizant? Yeah. Are you paying attention to the above water noise that you're making, even on a busy lake, more on a glass calm day than you would be in 2-footers?
Yeah, nothing irritates me more than when I'm fishing with a buddy of mine and he gets grass on his crankbait and he starts slapping it on the water. That irritates me like mad. I'm like, just pull it off. It'll come off right away if you pull it off. Instead of going wham, wham, wham. Aside from that, he's using my crankbaits and then he's breaking the bills on them.
That's why you do locker room sessions and not guiding sessions.
Exactly. Oh, speaking about crankbaits, yep. Bandit just released another series of crappie crankbaits for the Bandit 300. They copied some more Bobby Garland colors. So for you guys that are crappieing it out there, this is a good time of year to slow troll for crappies. And the Bandit 300 is money. And if you don't believe me, ask Pete Pons. Hey, go back to that blue one. Is that blue and bone?
No, it's a little orangish. It looks like an old DD22 color that they used to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that robin egg blue back a lot.
Yeah. I'll keep Cone special.
I got to burn that in my brain because I got an idea for a paint job right now. In fact, I better write some notes down here.
This is how it starts, folks.
Baby.
You like that one more so than just the straight chartreuse one?
No, because that's chartreuse with a blue glimmer belly.
That one's not.
No, that's the light bulb, dude. Remember the baby -1s?
Yeah.
So I used to throw the all chartreuse one. We called it the light bulb.
Just a freaking just. Blah, blah, blah,
it's just a giant.
Dude, that's a bait that just used to be tied on every club tournament I fished out of the back of the boat. The guy would be up front going down the bank, and I would just have the big man's, or not the big, just the man's baby -1.
Yep.
On 17-pound test mono, and I would throw it every single club tournament with the Assumption Bass Club for the first 2 hours, and it would just lazily go across. But I would always catch a couple on it. So and it didn't matter where we fished or what we fished.
Yeah. So my thing with that bait was I fished it in the grass.
Yeah.
It would walk through the grass. And I was on Santee Cooper with my buddy Troy one time, and we plastered them on it. It was a good deal. It was a good deal. I have a small tease that I'm going to tease here. I have been testing something out, and I have a little over 700 miles of testing on it on my trailer, and I am amazed. And I'll get more in detail on this, but for guys that do a lot of trailer into tournament guys and stuff like this,
or people who just like to know what's going on, even if they trailer 10 miles to their local lake,
this is probably one of the biggest safety features I have ever seen in my life. And I am beyond impressed, and I will go into detail at a later show on this, but there's things that we talk about in fishing when you're fishing, lures, rods, line, like the Overwatch and stuff like that, the Deep Dive app. This is all helps us catch fish, right? This is all super important to us. This is something that I will tell you that there should never be a trailer made without this. And that's all I'm going to say about it. And I will go into detail. But I am mind blown.
You have called me several times, and you're like, Matt, it's blah blah blah. This I can't believe. Like it. Yeah, you've done it.
Yeah, it's
and I think it's tailored. We're gonna bring it to day 4. It's a product that we're bringing to day 4 that you have been working with for the past 4 months.
Yeah.
And didn't even want to say anything about it until
I didn't want to say one word about
until you had actually done it and had done it. But I think based on the viewers and listeners, like our demographic of who most of the guys are and girls, we might have a couple day 4 female fans in the mix. Who tow and have boats and all that. This is literally like, I don't think you could get a better demographic for it.
No,
and based on what we talk about too.
Yeah, and I don't.
It's not sexy. It's not like a bait or a rod or a reel or anything. But it allows you to get to where you use the baits and the rods and the reels.
All I'm going to tell you guys is when I go, we're going to get into this, and I had some stuff happen to me when I was traveling the tournament circuit. That you don't know it's happening until it happens. Like I had a wheel come off a trailer one time at 70 miles an hour. Stuff like that. This is so preventable, and now there's stuff out there that will prevent this. So we're going to get into it because I've never seen anything like it. You know, the 5-blade rough water prop that Todd and I did.
Yep.
It's a great tool for big water, understanding that a lot of guys don't live on big water and a lot of guys will never see big water and it would never be relevant for them. Anybody who owns a bass boat is 100% relevant.
And anyway, it is not a hitch that goes on the front in case you can't back up.
Yeah.
I've seen those. You're just driving it straight down into the water.
Yeah, that's when my wife.
Let's do some logistics here. So next Friday is July 3rd, or next Thursday.
That's July.
Is July 2nd. Do we have a bait drop next?
We do.
Can we close the show with a tease?
We can.
Well, let's do it.
Are we doing a sound show? Are we going to do a show with sound or no?
But it's your show. You do whatever we want. We've done 147 of them.
So here's the tease.
That doesn't sound like a booyah rattle bait.
No.
What do they call the booyah rattle baits now?
Hard knockers, one knockers.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a hard knocker or one knocker.
It's a DD22.
Oh, was that the color?
Yeah.
That had a little bit of old school look to it.
It does.
Do that one more time. Just if you don't get in trouble, if you can, just open up the palm. Ooh.
Yeah, this is a sexy bait right here, man.
That has a lot of elements. I'm seeing. Yeah, I like it.
Yes. Yeah, it does, man. This is.
Wait, is that what a DD22 normally sounds like?
Yeah, dude. Butyric, low dull sound, man. Oh, here's a fat free. Listen to that. You hear the difference?
Yep.
That's ABS is a little louder, and then the DD22.
Oh yeah.
That's why I love.
Is there a trick to getting the old DD22s to start rattling again, or do you just throw them silent when that ball gets, it gets a little powdery and then it doesn't want to?
Here's what you got to do. Just tap it on the table on its side, because the rattle chamber is side to side. So tap it on one side, tap it on the other side. That bait that you have that may not rattle might be so old there's too much powder in there. And
then I just have to hope that it froze in a thing that doesn't knock it off and that I've got a silent one that runs true.
Yeah, if you prefer silent. See, I don't prefer silent crankbaits. I don't. I just, to me, I don't prefer silent crankbaits.
Remember Chuck? Remember he said, "Hey, is that Chuck that's actually playing the guitar there?" And he said it was. He said, "If we play in Cleveland, I'm inviting Frank on stage to play the DD-22 like a maraca." You could get a whole thing. Now throw in the plastic. Let's get an ABS versus a butyrate, a little butyrate. You open up your little Plano 3700.
Yeah.
You got Bandit in there.
That is so funny.
Oh my God.
That's priceless, man. That is so priceless.
Also, it looks like LureNet has stepped up their merch game. These are some a lot of old school Bandit fans out there. They just dropped some awesome Bandit clothing.
Oh, those are good ones, man.
Yeah.
Those are good ones.
Yeah, look at that shirt. Oh, there's a little raccoon on the sidewalk. Look at him. He's a cute little fella.
Yeah,
just he's in your garbage.
Don't pet him in the daylight, because if you see him in the daylight, he's got rabies.
Have you ever? I know David Mullins has a pet raccoon. Have you ever been around a hand-raised raccoon that's fully grown, that's like a house cat?
Yeah, I had one.
You had a pet raccoon?
Yeah.
Have we covered this in the show?
No, never. I had 2 of them.
For an extended period of time?
Yeah, till I let them go.
Like, were they in the house?
Yeah.
They'd watch TV with you?
They did whatever the hell they wanted.
They'd wash their little food in the little bowl there.
Yeah, you had to have
crawl around the house. And
yeah, you had to have a water bowl and a food bowl next to each other, because they won't eat nothing they don't dunk in the water.
And were they potty trained? Fair somewhat, maybe a little bit.
Fair somewhat.
So you'd let them out, they do their thing, and then they'd come in and sleep at night, and you'd cuddle with them and play with them. And
yeah, but I put them back in the wild before they were still babies when I put them back in the wild. I didn't want a full-grown raccoon. They're very mischievous. They open cabinets and cupboards. They do all kinds of things,
nefarious activities. So to speak.
So what happened was, I was young. I was a kid. I was probably 14 or 15. I was riding my bike down the street, and I saw a big raccoon that got hit by a car in the street. And I went to look at it, because as all kids do, it's an animal. I want to go see it. So I go up to it and look at it, and off to the side in the grass, I saw 2 baby raccoons, little tiny ones. And clearly it was the mother that got run over. So I picked the 2 raccoons up, and I didn't know I was on my bicycle, so I couldn't ride the bike and carry the raccoons. So I tucked my shirt in my pants, and I dropped the raccoons down the inside of my shirt.
Brilliant.
Okay. And then I drove home, and I had these 2 raccoons crawling around inside my shirt. And of course, unbeknownst to me, they were flea infested. And so when I got home and got them out of my shirt, I had bazillion flea bites all over me and stuff. And so we flea bathed them and cleaned them all up and everything else. And I probably had them for maybe 2 months. Got them so they got, started looking like a real raccoon with the humpback and everything. And then brought them to the metro parks and let them go, which in hindsight was probably a bad deal, because
they look like that.
Yeah, they are so cute. Yeah. But you got to be super careful with them, because raccoons carry a parasite that we as humans
can't.
We can't get that parasite, because unfortunately for humans, it would work its way into your brain.
Mm-hmm. That's like every time I eat an armadillo, you have to make sure that it's one that doesn't have leprosy.
You have never eaten an armadillo in your life.
On the half shell.
Yeah.
On the Traeger.
On the half shell. Armadillo on the half shell. Can we say leprosy, anyone?
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't think Bama and
Lenny
would
No.
enjoy the addition of a raccoon in the Scalish household. That would be chaos.
Oh my gosh, dude. I wouldn't even take one now. I don't want one.
Last question, then. This is a good one. What's the best way to clean your crankbaits? I think we all have that pile of crankbaits that gets either a rust or film or maybe a plastic worm stuck to the side. They just don't look brand new. How do you clean those suckers? I'm very curious on that.
Okay, so I just use a toothbrush and soap and water, but Mr. Clean, those little pads they make, those cleaning pads, they do a really good job with rust stains and stuff. But the problem I notice, some crankbaits, it takes the clear off of them.
Gotcha.
So I would just go toothbrush. You can even use toothpaste on them. Toothbrush, soap and water, toothbrush, toothpaste. Dawn dishwashing liquid's good because it takes all the oils and stuff off the bait as well.
I thought you were going to say you found those baby raccoons in the top of the tree that you chopped down out of the golf course that Christmas. That's how you got saddled with them.
I just want to know if the statute of limitations for that crime has run out. It'd be habeas trius. It can't produce the tree, can't show the crime.
Just one of the top 100 golf courses in the country. Just young Frank Scalish, just Paul Bunyan's, the signature conifer, right out of the number one fairway.
Oh my God!
With a couple baby raccoons in the
Why do you keep bringing that
perched in the top?
Why do you keep bringing that up?
All right. So let's do it again. Same time, same place next week.
Absolutely. I'm here. I'm here if you're here.
All right. And like I said, if you want to get in on a locker room session with Frank, what's that email again?
It's frank.scalish03@gmail.com.
Set up your appointment before you realize that Frank is drastically undervaluing his hour of time.
or just DM me.
Yeah, or shoot him a DM on Instagram. All right, there's been another edition of Day 4. Frank Scalish, slick, calm conditions. Next week, fishing and lightning.
That's when I prefer an 8-foot graphite rod.
Yeah. Really let them know you're there. We'll talk to everyone later. See you.